So I know Nenad from 14 years. I was very young. I was the youngest employee at Ziv Davis, and Nenad was a PC expert, PC Magazine France editor-in-chief. And now Nenad is the CEO of one of our startups called Lengow. This is one of our most successful startups in a B2B space in France. Perhaps you can repeat what Lengow is doing, and after that, what I want to do in this session, and I want to understand how a startup from France can recruit more than 2,000 customers, can make almost €500,000 a month of revenues in not a lot of money without raising too much. So I want to understand how they are selling that to their customers.
Okay, so let's come back briefly about the history of Lengow. Lengow was created in mid of 2009 by two guys, Michael Froger, who's sitting there, and Jérémy Perrault. Both of them have really a background in this industry, which is the industry of price comparison, so they know very well about expectation of merchants. And so as soon as Lengow really emerged, they start with new clients they had already before, because they identified their needs. So Lengow has a strong culture since the beginning to be profitable and to have clients paying for the service. The first big client came 6 months after the company started, and they had clients the first day. So this is something which is in our culture, which is to have a strong, I would say, sales background. One of the founders was focused on sales. First, he sold himself. And after that, he made by copycatting his proceedings to other salaries and employees to learn them how to teach them how to sell. So
so what Lengow is doing, to remember?
Okay, Lengow, I tried to tell it before, but just now to be more precise, we handling a product catalog for merchants. One of the common idea everybody may think about is that merchants know how to handle their catalog. In fact, they do not know, and it's true everywhere in the world. So as soon as they need to send this product catalog to promote their products and to generate sales, they don't know how to handle it correctly. So there is always technical issue, there is always optimization issue, because now you know that when you create an e-commerce activities, you really need to promote heavily to drive sales to your site. So we handle these feeds first by structuring it purely. Today, Lengow is integrating more than 1,200 channels. A channel for us is a destination where they may have a marketing action. As I told, it can be Google AdWords, it can be price comparison system, it can be ad exchanges. So for these guys, we know how to structure perfectly on technical aspects the product feed. This is the first point. The second point, and this is why today so many merchants are taking Lengow, is the fact that we are tracking everything which happened with the feed. So they have inside our interface a very perfect view about what is happening, how many times the product is viewed, how many times it's clicked, what sales do they generate through this channel. And after that, we connect it to that back office where they can set up rules, automatic rules, saying, okay, I want to optimize my feeds according to some profitability considerations. For example, I want to stop to promote a product as on all CPC channels as soon as I do not have any more product in stock. Or I want to monitor a price of a competitor on the marketplace and be always below his price as long as my margin is above a certain level. This is exactly the kind of rules you can program inside Lengow. And the key point for these guys is the fact that they can do this without having to go back to their IT guys, which is one of the key issues with marketing and e-commerce guys. As soon as they want to test a new channel, as soon as they want to do some modifications, they have to come back to IT departments, and sometimes that means very long delays before being active. With Lengow, it's in a click.
So the first question is, how are you selling it? I mean that how the merchants knows you? It is a viral model. I mean that know that you have so many customers, more merchants are coming along, or how are you doing that?
Okay, there have been really two phases in Lengow Live. The first one was a French market we launched. It was based mostly at the beginning on the contacts and the network of the two founders. After that, we very quickly acquired big merchants, because what we provide is something which is quite unique. There is not so many guys on the market, even worldwide, who make what we do. So today we can say that in France we have something like 80% of the top 200 merchants on the market. And we decided now 2 years ago to go internationally, and that was a tough part of the job because we went to 18 countries in 1 year and a half, 14 languages, and on countries where nobody knows about Lengow, and sometimes even nobody knows about what we do, and sometimes nobody even understands what we do. I remind some countries like Brazil, where I went to a first conference, the subject was what is an ROI? So quite difficult to sell a product to people who don't know exactly what it's talking about. What we do now, it's we decided to build something very, I would say, scalable, but under constraint in terms of costs. So we decided to have centrally all international team in one place in Paris. We're making hard cold calls, which means we do not have any database, we do not have any files for our leads. Our sales teams are generating a lot of leads by just studying on the web who is promoting where and with which leverage. To give you some insight, it's something which is really well today's structure. This year we have around 25% now across these 18 countries. We're generating something like 13,000 calls of merchants to pitch them, and something like 2,900 demo at the end of November. A demo is something we do after a call, which is a presentation through a WebEx, and to trying to sell during half an hour, and then half an hour more of discussion, a contract. Lengow is a solution which is sold on a recurrent model, which means that we have a very flexible contract. To sell that, we need to be very flexible in terms of options, so there is no setup fee, no engagement period, very low cost. We're purely based on the number of products we treat, so there is no hidden cost, no percentage. So very simple for a guy to enter and to exit if he wants. The good thing is we're not exiting so much. So at this stage, I would say that we don't know about the lifetime value of a client, and I hope we'll never know about, because I think life will still continue as long as we are here. So it's really a model where very intensive in terms of phone calls, of lead creation on the web. And
I have one question. How are you calling people? I mean that people are taking you on the phone and are listening to you? So everyone here, every startup can now try to call customers?
Yes, these 30,000 I talk was people who take us on phone and say us at least hello. I would say majorly we have people who are not expecting our call, so we have a lot of discrepancy in between number of leads we generate and number of calls who are really succeeding on that. But it's something we train our team very intensively. We set up a CRM, which is very optimized to help them duplicate the process and to be efficient in process. We set up a lot of interactive models to train the salesperson. For example, they can register every demo they do, and we can review it after at the end of the week in order to make sure that they are purely trained and correct and to correct every default they may have in the pitch. So it's really there is no magic solution. It's really very hard and intensive in terms of calls and trying to figure out one day on the beginning of a month. Or the beginning of a week, every salesperson is working in generating its leads, which means generating probably 50 to 60 leads in a week at the beginning, and after that call them and trying to get them on phone. There is no magic formula, it's just a lot of work.
So with the good contact in a company, for you?
For us, the good contact is the e-commerce manager or the guy in charge of acquisitions. Of channel acquisition. So it's very difficult to identify because, as I said before, we don't have any files. So we have to rely on all kinds of sources, which can be up to monitoring some price comparison sites and trying to figure out after that who is the guy responsible in this site. So a lot of LinkedIn, a lot of social networks, Xing for Germany. There is no real general rule. It's depending on the country and the implementation of the social networks in B2B social networks in this country.
My reaction when I'm hearing that it's so old school, you know. And you know, we have many startups here, and I know some of them, you know, trying to acquire customers by sending mailings or. I don't know, you're saying, okay, let's go, take a phone and try to call everyone. Okay, this is...
No, there is some specific points about Lengow. First of all, we are a very technical solution, which means that for working with us, a merchant needs to put very often a tag on its website. So it's something which, for us, forbids to work, for example, on an externalization, because we can't really have people trained to something which is too technical on a traditional call platform. On a purely web-based, there's probably something to do. I don't know when we will be on that kind of project, but it's essentially, I would say, for the long tail and the very small merchant, of course, there is probably some countries and some kind of merchants where we should use this kind of method. But the key essence, I would say, today in our international growth is the fact that we need to go very fast and to implement ourselves. As I told before, plenty of countries do not even know about ROI, do not even know about all the channels we're offering today. For countries like Brazil today is really opening to a lot of channels. 1 year ago, you just have to go to Buscapé, was the only company you can find ever to buy all your audience, and you didn't need really to go elsewhere. So it's very difficult sometimes. Some days you face people who do not believe at all in what you're selling, but we have very young people, very motivated. We hired, by the way, guys from a local country because we think that aside from my very nice French-English accent, sometimes it's needed to have people who can understand the philosophy and the culture of a country to sell better, especially on phone, because the contact is very weak at the beginning. But it's true that you say that we can try a lot of new alternatives. My feeling, and Lengow is one of my, I don't know how many companies now on the net since '99. We did not invent it so much on the sales area. It's human people you have to convince to pay for a service. And on the sales side, it's always the same business. So sales is like a pipeline.
You know, I'm not saying that you need to change it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that perhaps some of our startups need to learn from what you are doing. It means that you are using old school methods.
Our view is sales process is a pipeline. If you want to have something outside, you have to put a lot inside, and you have leaks everywhere, so you're losing a lot. And so it's with this really strong feeling that we have developed our sales team. So we ask them really to make an input regular, heavy input to make sure that something comes out at the end of a month on it. And it's tough, especially when you have to evangelize, when you have to start from scratch a country, where you have no brand awareness, where your topic is not known at all. So it's a challenge we have decided to go into with Lengow. It's working. I would appreciate if it works better and faster, but I think we're making it quite well. We went now to up to 2,700 merchants. Internationally, something 1/4 of this business, and we really started with a team summer of last year. So,
one question: when you are working with Brazil, it means that you have people working during the night. From Paris?
Yes, we have
from
people
Paris,
working from Paris. Yes, we are a little bit, I don't know, schizophrenic. But we decided that we wanted to do everything from France. Key point is that honestly, I don't think we had the financial structure to be able to create subsidiary everywhere, because subsidiary means a lot of cash invested, and you never know when your activity will take a grip on the market. So my point of view is always be ready to leave if you're not successful, because you can't. If you can't maintain at any cost, you have to be ready for that. So we really decided to do it centrally in France. So we have people working, of course, beginning of evening for Brazilian market, because at the moment I think it's 5 hours delay. So they're working up to 10, 11 p.m. They're coming later in the morning. But it's the same for UK. We have 1 hour time shift, so I don't need the UK team to be at work at 9 o'clock in the morning. It does not make sense.
Okay, so it's possible to manage this from France, manage that kind of situation.
It's manageable. By the way, it's very easy to find a lot of nationalities on the French market, on Parisian market especially, aside German. Germany is the only country where apparently there is not so many German guys in Paris. But aside from that, we have something like, I think, 14 nationalities now in our team, going from India, Czech, even Polish, Croatian, Italian, Spanish. So in Paris, I think we just like French guys. We are free, I think. And I'm counting myself as a French, which...
Thank you very much. I think that this is a good lesson for all of us, you know, to know that we need to work hard to recruit customers.
I think the good point with a startup, and especially when I went to Lengow, in my past I restructured a company, and it's far more difficult to organize a sales organization when you have to restructure something existing. When you start from scratch, I think there is really 3 things to worry about. The first one, have a good CRM, and something which is really tailored to your needs. No need to go to...
Which one are you using?
We use a very simple one, which is Nutshell. We did not went to Salesforce because we find it too expensive for our needs, and especially as we had plenty of our feature inside our own back office. And so a CRM which is really tailored to your needs and to the way you're selling. It's very important. Second thing is to think immediately about sales organization. I see too many in my advisor background, too many companies where people think they will sell this afternoon and this morning they're doing something else. Sales is a full-time job, and sometimes we forget about that. And last but not least, always immediately set up your KPIs for sales team and manage them very actively every day if you want to have some results.
Others are reporting to you by email, or are you using a tool?
No, we do not make any reports. We have everything in Nutshell, and we have rules. What is not in Nutshell does not exist. So they have to put everything in Nutshell, emailing all the relations inside. So we have a really snapshot view at any time. I can have a view in the night of what was the activity of the team this day, this week. Tonight probably I will have a look. And this is I think, the best way to achieve something.
Yeah. You decided to centralize everything in Paris. You say that because it costs a lot to have a lot of offices. What are the weaknesses of this model?
The weakness of this model is the fact that if you go international, you will probably face this image of, we face today, this image of a French company working from France. Some countries really dislike this. Germany is a strong example of that. I think it's very tough for a French company to sell from France to the German market. You're really facing some kind of, I don't know how to say, but I have in mind one pitch is we had with a client for 2 hours. The guy found the solution great, and the last question was, there's just one thing I don't understand. If your product is so great, why is there not any German company doing that? And you say, okay. But it's true that sometimes it may be difficult. You're probably losing some time on some markets, but the key point is you can have a very flexible organization, you can have a low-cost structure, and by the way, we have something very interesting in Paris. We have today 6 areas with something like 20 salespeople today, and they can help each other because they're not competing each other, and they are really able to leverage each other with their own proficiency. For example, people working for Scandinavian area face a lot Google AdWords issue. People working in German or UK environment working a lot about marketplaces. So they're totally able to help people from other areas with their expertise, which is something sometimes you have some difficulties to do because sales guys are not so communicating well when they're facing each other on the same market. They always see each other as competitors if they are so good sales guys.
Thank you very much.